Right. So are we live?
Yes.
Okay. Just hitting this button as well. Welcome, everybody, to today's alumni event. It's the last one for 2024. We're so chuffed that you can be here. We're going to try and unpack the question that we posed. We said, what does it take to sustain a profitable solar business in South Africa in 2025? Our guests today are two solar professionals who are exceptionally busy, even at this time of year. And it actually took a lot of juggling of schedules to get everybody together at the same time. So we want to know, what is it they're doing, or what is it that they're doing differently to be this much in demand, when we know the reality is a lot of solar installers are sitting around twiddling their thumbs. So that's what we're going to try and unpack during this hour. And I hope that you'll all find plenty of useful information to take away that you can use to make a success of your own solar business. The questions that we'll be asking our guests include: how do you get customers? How do you ensure a constant pipeline of customers? How do you adjust to a changing market situation? And all of these topics come from a course that we run called Solar Business Management, and we'll tell you more about it as we go along. But we only have an hour here, so this is just an appetizer, and then if you want the real meat, you join us on the course and you definitely won't regret it. So to begin, my name is Alex Hutton. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager for Green Solar Academy. I'll be moderating the session. I am supported by my colleague, Tsakani Mashila. Tsakani, do you want to come on camera and say hi? Quick.
Hello.
Tsakani.
Yeah.
And our guests are Rudolph Kotze and Junior Lagrange. They are both solar professionals. They are also green trainers. Just a quick reminder that if you have questions, please look for the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. You can see that icon. That's the best way to submit your question. Then Tsakani can keep track of them, submit them in order, and she will present them to the speakers, probably only towards the end of the session. And then, yes, as we kick off, Tsakani is actually going to put up a poll to help us understand more about each of your businesses. So please go ahead and fill that in while I make the introductions. So on to our guests. We're going to start with Rudolph Kotze. Kotze. Oh, I said Kotze.
Same thing. Hi, wow. My name is Rudolph Kotze. I'm actually from a mechanical background, mechanical engineer, and I've been in corporate business for many years of my career, and started off in the solar business about 10 years ago, doing my own solar system. And for the last 5 years, I'm full-time in the solar business. So although not from an electrical background, but more from a mechanical background, I have a passion for the renewable industry. And that's the reason why I made this my business. And I started off with a solar business, and we're still going strong at this stage. And we're blessed with the work we can do. And hopefully we can share some of our knowledge and some of our experience with you guys out there.
Absolutely. So that's Rudolph. And now Junior Lagrange. He is the lead technician at Grange Services. He's a Red Seal Electrician with plenty of hands-on solar installation experience. Do you want to take it from there, Junior?
Yeah, maybe just briefly. So my name is Junior Lagrange. You can say it in a fancy way if you really want and go all French, Legrand. No, I'm kidding. So been in the electrical industry for 10 years. Started off in apprenticeships basically, and worked my way up in some previous companies until I started my own company 5 years ago. So I've been operating and working in my own business for the last 5 years in the electrical industry, of which 4 was actively part of the solar industry as well. And as Max mentioned, I'm also part of the Green Solar alumni. Started in as an alumni member myself, but also then later as a facilitator for some of the courses. Yeah, I hope there's hope there's knowledge we can share. But I think Rudolph mentioned something, and ultimately to be in business is a privilege, but to be able to do business and actively have work at the moment, I think for a lot of people is a very big privilege. So yeah.
Absolutely hear you. So you've both come into this industry you've each come into this industry from quite different backgrounds. So let's start with you again, Junior. What path or employment journey brought you here? A very technical one. How did you start out?
Yeah, so I started off with through a TVET program, which at that stage basically caught me just as I came, well, shortly after leaving school, having had technical subjects in school, and did a bit of a rabbit run around to other industries, but ended up in the electrical industry and started an apprenticeship program, which consisted of a 3 months in a year administrative block where you would study in class, and then 9 months active learning. I did that for 3 years, completed my apprenticeship, trade tested as an electrician, Red Seal, further went on to do my wireman's license, and actually in the industry was working for electrical contractors at that stage, doing anything and everything from low voltage access control to all the way up to high voltage 21,000 volts and over reticulation, building power distribution networks, whether it be transformers or big cable joints at that stage. Then moving to Cape Town, basically went into the compliance industry for a solid 2 years, operated and managed the company for someone, and then shortly after that, just before COVID hit, actually opened my own business as an electrical contractor, doing mainly maintenance work and small installations, and then kind of stumbled into the solar industry, and my first point of call was or port of call was education, because I didn't know enough, and I probably would have made a lot of mistakes if I didn't start with education.
Okay, but started before COVID and still here. That does take some doing. What about you, Rudolph? What was your path? Not such a technical path, huh?
As I said, I'm a mechanical engineer, and I started in big business, so working in a major corporate business for many years. During my time in the corporate business, not only practiced as an engineer, but also started with a business improvement methodology for the corporate business I worked in. That later on developed into my own business, where I left the corporate world and started my own business improvement consultancy. Practiced that for about 5 years, and then prior to that, I installed my own solar installation, for my house. As an engineer, you always have that belief, with a little bit of investigation and a little bit of study, you can do anything yourself. And I did it, got my system to work. And at some stage, a friend of mine asked me, can I assist him with his system that he proposed? And I did it. And then I realized, if I want to do this for someone else, I need to be better schooled in order to do that. And that's when I decided to go on my Green Solar Academy journey, and started with a super solar school, and actually realized when I completed that actually, I always tell the story that after the Friday I got home, that Saturday morning I stripped my whole solar system and reinstalled it, because I just realized what a mess I made in that process.
So interesting.
And from there on, I decided I'd do it the right way or no way. I started with a solar journey. The consulting work started to, actually the whole COVID epidemic was a killer for the consulting work at that stage. And then I decided I'm going to do the solar thing as a full-time business. And from then on, we've been busy with solar and quite busy. And it's not that we have not been hit by the downslope in the solar industry, but we're still going and we're still doing good and we're still busy. And my whole focus on and you'll see that in the discussion later on is, although I'm not from the electrical industry, I am very much focused into the improvement side of business. So everything I do in the business, I try to do it as optimal and as efficient as possible. And for me, that's most probably one of the success portions of my work in the business, is that we can be so efficient in what we do. And that makes a big portion in terms of our solar business. When we do installation, it is in and out. It's like a tire change in a Formula One car. We don't waste time. We do the job and we get on with it and we go to the next job.
See Junior agreeing there. Yeah.
That's our focus in the business.
So I did want to ask, because this is about becoming better at managing your solar business as well. That's also the thrust of it. With your business consulting background, I wanted to ask you, are there any traits of a successful company, or what are the traits of a successful solar installation company or a successful company in general? Is there anything that sticks out for you as a business consultant?
For me, you need to have a passion in what you do. So if you're just in the industry for making a quick buck, you're not going to survive. You're going to make a couple of bucks in the process, but there's no real emphasis for you being in it for the long run. For me, that's the first trait, that you need to be interested and you need to love what you do. And then is good enough is just not good enough. You need to make it better. So I need to be better at the way I do installations. I need to be better in terms of my customer interactions, in terms of our paperwork, in terms of our communication. Everything we do, we try to do better every day. And
constantly try to improve.
Constantly trying to improve what we do. And today, if I can relate back in terms of what my customers has told me, is that they've never experienced something like that. Is it still possible in today's life to get a service provider or a contractor that can do a job like that? And because of that, they are my marketers. So
well, Cam, I definitely want to know.
Trying to do it better and better and better every day.
What I wanted to ask you, you said that your customers are your marketers. So that is, my next question is, what do you do to stimulate demand? And you're already saying that satisfied customers. But let's start with Junior. Junior, what do you do to stimulate demand out in the marketplace?
To stimulate demand, I think ultimately the demand is there. I mean, we're quite a few million people in South Africa, all with our own needs, and ultimately, I believe the demand is there. It's a case of how I position my business to be able to be, or almost intercept that need, to intercept that demand. So I need to be in touch with, what do clients want? What do clients need? What are their pain points? What are their...
Are you educating them? Are you educating them about solar and its...
Exactly, yeah. So ultimately, I need to be able to gain that information from them. And when I gain that information from them, I can change my stance and my position in the industry, or how I present to them, and what I present to them, to, as you say, educate them on the industry, but educate them on what my business offers, and what makes me different from my opposition.
Oh, that is something that we definitely need to come to, a unique selling point that each company should have. But exactly. I just want to go back to Rudolph and say, what is it that you do to stimulate demand for solar?
Same as Junior said, is that you need to educate your customers. I do a lot of work in the farming community, and what I have found is that there's a lot of misconception still around solar. People have a certain belief about solar, or they've heard this from a friend, or things like that, and they don't really understand the principles behind solar. And working on the farming community is that it depends on their need, and you need to educate them. So I spend a lot of time. I have spent a lot of time in this typical farmer communities where they have a meeting once a quarter where all the farmers get together. I go and present not so much about my company, but about the reality of solar in their world. And that is a marketing opportunity for me. It's an opportunity to set the scene for them to get a good understanding of that. And then and through that, I create connections with farmers. And I'm quite busy in the farming community, and it's a very nice place to be in, because it's nice people to work with, because they have.
Is that your core customer market? Is it the
not
farming
necessarily
community?
It's one of my markets. So I spend a lot of time with them because I enjoy the work with farmers, but it's definitely one of my bigger portions of my customer base. But it's about education and telling them, helping them to understand, for instance, the electricity account. A lot of them do not understand the electricity account, even if it's. I found some large farmers, and they don't understand the rands and cents in terms of what the electricity account means and where do they spend money on the electricity. They don't understand that. And part of that is to help them understand it and create a solution specifically to their needs.
Education, very important.
Education.
What is your, Junior, what is your core or sector that you serve? Where do you mostly work? Who are your clients?
Maybe if I could, before I answer that, because I believe it will lead into how I can answer that. Rudolph, you mentioned how you educate your client, and ultimately I think we're living in a information era where you can ask me about something and I can literally go online right now, and get fairly accurate information. But it's normally that 1 degree off and away from true, and not the full picture. Whereas your exposure into the market, whether it be mechanical, electrical, full and complete solar, because we need both these facets for it to work. You've got experience. As solar installers, we are the experts on the topic, and our clients either don't know about it, or they don't know how to approach us, or they don't know that they need our information. So I think educating our clients in the fact that they need to know the true facts. So not what everyone is saying necessarily, but what is the real information that our clients should be exposed to. And then tying into my core business, basically is we're electrical contractors as a whole. So whether it is replacing a lamp for a rental agency, managing agent, or consulting a client in a motor operation, or their whole building energy needs, or where they are in their energy walk, if I could say it that way. Ultimately, I think energy is at the core of any economy. If we don't, we can just look at our screens in front of us. Without energy, none of these things would work. Without electrical energy, none of it would be possible.
Absolutely.
And I think of it many times in a day, and you're almost like flabbergasted by the fact that, wow, and we get to play a part in that. So if you take electricity out of any business, then you're taking a massive generating factor, a massive cog in the system out of the picture. So yeah, and that's kind of where we position ourselves. Whether you are a residential client, end user, or business to business, which I'm kind of trying to infiltrate more at the moment. So yeah, we provide mainly for rental agents, managing agents, and their clientele, or directly to other commercial businesses.
And very briefly, how do you market your business? What platforms do you use? Junior, we start with you quickly.
Oh,
Where do you market?
Plenty.
Do you?
I would say, if I could touch on my key marketing tactic or strategy, is networking, and that makes us and the people we encounter the expansion of our marketing program. It's probably the cheapest way. If you look at it at cost per acquisition, or your client acquisition cost, it's probably the lowest number you'll ever hit, because what we're doing now is networking with one another. You're getting to know me, I'm getting to know you. So that's like right at the top of my marketing strategy. And then I think most other businesses, search engine optimization, the internet, proper website, Facebook, Instagram, which at the moment I don't leverage that enough, I would say. And I've got a fair bit of ad spend in Google at the moment.
And when I chatted to you yesterday, Rudolph, or on Tuesday, what did you say about having a website? What did you say to me?
It is very easy to have a website. It's very difficult to have a proper website. Proper meaning that it's properly constructed, that you understand the principles of search engine optimization, you utilize everything that's available to you, so that you don't need to pay for Google Ads, that you can do whatever if it's done correctly, you can get your search on top of a list, or fairly close to the top of a list, without paying for ads. Because ads can become quite expensive, and it's very difficult to quantify the results from that. So that's one of the aspects. We spent some money we first did it ourselves, and then decided we need to get some professional
also a skill.
advice. It's a skill. It's someone is doing that professionally. It's not my core business, but the fact that we've done it ourselves meant we understood exactly what we wanted from the website, and what is good and what's not good, because everyone can come by and sell you something. It is a question are you asking them the right question? So that's very important, that if you contract a service out, that you're not doing yourself, is understand exactly what you want from that service, and that you can get the result from that service.
So an SEO optimized website, very important, if we all heard that one. And then, I'd like you to start, Rudolph, because in the solar business management course, we speak a lot about identifying a USP that sets your company apart from other service providers. So in a couple of sentences, what is your USP? Your unique selling points.
I'm a dedicated solar installer that is focusing on the need for a specific need for my customer. So I'm not selling a package deal for anyone. I understand my customer's needs. I design and develop a solution for my customer, and I am as efficient as possible in terms of delivering on that promise that I've made to the customer.
Efficiency.
That's crucial for me. That's unique to what I do, and that's the feedback I get from my customers as well. And then it doesn't stop there. My installation doesn't stop at the day when I sign off a system. It is a continuous business. So I have continuous interactions with my customers, be it where we have maintenance contracts with my customers, be it where I just give some online support to a customer and say, if you need any help, give me a ring and I can quickly have a look at the system for you, and I can maybe support you on tweaking something or doing something like that. So that ongoing support is not just support for my customer, but it's also an opportunity where I leverage some expansion on systems where I help to build on the system, because very few people will start off with a system, be it residential, be it commercial, where it is 100% correct, because not everyone does have that finances to do that. So you keep on tweaking the system, and I want to make sure that if a customer wants to expand, he will choose me and not someone else. And that's part of what I do. So expanding a little bit more, that it's during the quiet times, it's very...
we'll come.
Okay,
we'll chat.
Yes.
We'll chat.
We'll chat
from
about that.
Junior, what is your USP? What is your unique selling point?
I would say our unique selling point is actually encompassed in my company's slogan, which is quite simply service simplified. And it's I can't word it any other way than in very corny. It's simply that.
Okay.
Basically, we cannot expect of a client to take any longer for something that they need than they have to. That they would take any more of their resources to end with the same result. I think the industry, electrical, solar at the core, mechanical, in any contracting industry, is flooded with a lot of people that can do the work, but not all of them are on the same level of service. And service encompasses, for me, credibility, whether you are registered, insured, and have got the backup to ultimately stand behind what you do. So not just, I mean, the reality is
that you have a slogan.
I could probably service a car, but I won't necessarily put my name on it, or go and say to the world, I'm a mechanic. Yeah, the saying goes, that doesn't make me a helicopter pilot, I suppose.
All right. I love that you have a company slogan. Do you have a company slogan, Rudolph? Got it.
It's also customer service. For me, it's from start to finish and beyond. That's what we do. It's that whole customer interaction from beginning to end.
Yeah. All right. I think before we can do one more question, and what I wanted to say is you started to speak about during quieter periods, Rudolph. And what I wanted to ask is, we've seen a big boom in the market driven by load shedding. Okay. And now the market is quiet. So is there anything specific that you did to prepare? I'm asking that question all wrong. I'm all wrong. I'm asking, is there anything specific that you do to prepare for possible quieter periods? And what role does maintenance play in your business during quieter periods?
Yeah, I think if we go back through the time period of load shedding, where you basically accepted orders, you didn't really have to sell a lot. If you had a good name, the orders just came in, and we were extremely busy during that time. And then the load shedding stopped, and suddenly something happened and there was no installations. I think the essence is when it becomes quiet, it's very easy to become distracted or desperate, and you're trying to do other stuff. You're trying to diversify, and you lose your focus on your core business. And I decided my core business is the solar industry. I want to focus on that, and what is specifically related to the service, to the solar industry. And maintenance plays a huge role in that, because in the past you can just do the installation. It now becomes really important to keep on supporting the installation. So I have paying customers that is willing to pay for me for a monthly review on their system, for continuous support on the system, and things like that. And that's a really important aspect of my business. But so that's crucial in the business. But quiet times is also something important. You need to understand, because you didn't really have to think about what's going forward in the load shedding times. But now you suddenly had to realize, but I need to change the way I see business and what my customers really want. So it's moving away from a grudge purchase from a customer to something that the customer really wants, and he
I like
the
that.
value of that. And that is understanding what value really sits in solar for the customer, and how do you quantify that? How do you explain it to the customer? How do you convince him that this is a good investment? It's not just a grudge purchase, it's an investment. So it's like doing any investment, be it with a bank or financial institution, whatever. This is an investment that the customer makes, and he needs to make sure that he gets a proper return on his investment. So being able to do that with a customer is very important. And then the other aspect of preparing for other stuff is you need to get your back office stuff in place. When you're so busy with installations, there's no time to focus on the important stuff that's not really that's not necessary at that time. But having the right stuff in place, for instance, having a safety file in place. When you do residential installations, no one cares about your safety file. But if you do commercial installations, you need to have the right stuff in place. Otherwise, they won't allow you on site to do work. And so you need to have his back office stuff in place. Make sure everything is according to the rule. Make sure everything is right, so that if I get an order tomorrow to do an installation at the commercial site, I'm ready for it. I don't need to now go and prepare a lot of stuff for that. I can take my safety file, I do my proper preparation for that installation, I can hand it into the client, and he accepts it. And these things are crucial, and it's not just about doing installations. There's a lot of back office work going on that you need to get in place. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the opportunities that comes past your road. So,
well, I think now talking about what you need to have in place is a good time to speak about the course that you put together. I think you and Vivian were the content creators of this course. So I'm going to share my screen, and then let me share my screen with you all. Good. Glory. Someone's having their Christmas party outside. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the course that Rudolph was instrumental in creating with his, background, 30 odd years in business consultancy and running his own solar company, CCSO Solar. So I didn't list all of the topics, but you would go over things like setting up your business, legal and health and safety requirements. What else are people going to learn during this course, Rudolph?
Yeah, I think that you've mentioned, it's very easy to set up a business. I can do it tomorrow. It cost me a couple of rands, and I set up a business and I can trade. But running a proper business takes a lot more. You need to be aware of requirements that's set for you in terms of the OSH Act, for instance. It is not that easy to run a legitimate business, meaning that you comply to all the legal requirements that's set out, because if there's nothing going wrong, no need to do these things. But the day something goes wrong, you need to be prepared for it. And the Act plans. Yeah, the Act doesn't really care. Ignorance is not an excuse. So the fact that I didn't know that doesn't make me not guilty about something that went wrong. So you need to be prepared for that. You need to know what's required from you. You know what's all the requirements that for your people working for you, and everything around it. So that's one aspect we deal with. And I had to deal with these things in corporate business. Managing large operational units is you need to know the in and outside of the OSH Act. And that is, for a solar installer, you need to know the in and outside of the OSH Act. It's very important. But then there's aspects of how do you how do you do project management? How do you prepare for a project? How do you quote for a project? And how do you cost it? So it's very easy to quote, but in what detail do you quote? And what detail do you prepare for in your quotations? Not necessarily showing all of that, but if you understand everything involved in installation, it's so much easier to do a proper quote that you know that I account for everything in what I've installed, and that's the way I know I can make a profit on every installation I make or I do. And so you need to go into that detail, and we share some of that information and know-how in the course. And then the aspect of, but how do I determine and how do I calculate the financials of the installation? And I've seen many attempts of people trying to do financials for solar installations, and some of them are really good, and some of them are really shady, and you need to understand what are the aspects of what's making a solar installation a profitable one for the customer with a good return on investment, and what is not. How do you advise your customer? Say, for instance, you have a hybrid system, and you have battery storage, and you do not have enough battery storage to harvest everything you can from the system and utilize that to minimize your Eskom infeed in the process. And by understanding the different aspects and how all of that fits together ensures that you get a good financial solution for your customer. As I said, I've seen proposals where the installers will typically say, but the potential for this system is X amount of kilowatt hours per year, therefore you are going to say that. That's just not true. It depends on how you utilize that. That will determine what's your end saving and your return on investment. So we're going into the depth of that and trying to get people a better understanding of how do you cost all of these things and how do you account for it so that you can do a good financial solution and plan for your customer.
Is that where you said there's a whole section on adapting the quote? Is that
there's a whole section on adapting the quote where you can play around with the financials for a customer, and he can see what's the result of every decision you take in the installation. So that's,
and you're going to teach guys how to do that.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, so I'm just going to show you the dates that we've already scheduled for next year. In January, it's taking place in Ballito. In Joburg, the first date is in April. That still has a really nice early bird price on it. And that if you're interested in making a booking, you go onto our website or you contact Sakani. And that is taught by Rudolph in Joburg, and I suspect that Junior might be teaching in Cape Town. And Junior, you said that you would have loved to have a course like this when you were starting out, right?
Oh, wow. It would have saved me so much headache, okay?
Yeah.
And that's not me just making up stories. The reality is I'm learning every day.
Yes.
And a lot of what I've learned came through making mistakes. And I believe if you can take out a big chunk of the mistake, your profitability goes up. Ultimately in business, more often than not, when you make mistakes, you also tend to lose money. And because you would either lose it through an indirect effect, through stock material loss, or through time, which is very tricky and very hard to measure and put metrics to it. So, you know, I believe if I had a bit of a better road map in front of me, I would have done a lot of things differently. I did go at the start for very basic kind of training, and what I've learned was through the information era that we live in, with various online platforms. But ultimately, there's no such school as just getting your head stuck in. But ultimately, if I had a backup of having the know-how, having other people who have learned lessons, put together the necessary information. Teach me, that's first prize.
Okay, and that's exactly what we're offering to do.
Yeah, and Alex, I like to add on to this is you don't, for running a small business, you don't need an MBA to run a business. You need some practical guidance on what works, what doesn't work. And then who do I ask? What are the important things? What's not so important? What are those things that I need to have a look at to make sure I am sustainable in what I do? MBA is a great thing. If you run a business, but it's in corporate, worth a lot more. But running your own business is knowing what to do practically.
Yeah, you summed it up for me. You said it's about the practical day-to-day running of your solar business, and you can make a success of it if you've got all these contingencies in place. You know your unique selling point, your customers at the core of what you do. Junior, I know that you use software for quoting and to organize your quotes. So I want to ask you what role this plays in keeping your standards high and helping you to stay organized during the busier periods.
Yes, so at a very early stage in my business, I realized, look, as a small business owner, you're more often than not the chief cook and bottle washer. So you need to be able to sit on a lot of seats at the same time, or you need financial backing to be able to employ people to carry those roles for you. So very early on in my business, I realized that if my administration is not on par, I'm going to fall out of the boat very, very quickly. I found myself doing admin like I think most contractors see themselves do till the early hours of the morning, burning the midnight oil. And that's when you make mistakes. It doesn't come across as very professional. And ultimately, if you have a professional looking document, when you quote, when you invoice, when you communicate with your client, does it happen on just a willy-nilly WhatsApp, which is nothing wrong with it, but or is it from a centralized platform that actually handles calendar appointments, something like that? Many different platforms out there. I don't know, Alex, am I allowed to mention the name that I'm using? I
don't have a problem with that.
They're a great piece of software. There are many similar ones. I use Tradeify, which is specifically built for tradespeople. It was two tradies in Australia that started it, and it's been going for multiple years. They're based in the UK, and well, I'm connected with the UK, but they come originally from New Zealand, and it's basically centralized point for all my admin, whether it's creating a job card or keeping track of my guys' labor time on site, or whether it is physically tracking my people, linked to a GPS, so I can see where my guys are on a map. I can see where all my job cards are laid out on a map. It's the possibilities are endless.
That really does sound like the backbone and the core of the company. Rudolph, what do you think about that software? And is it also...
we initially, when I started off, we also quickly realized that trying to do, as Junior has said, everything yourself is really difficult. So one of the things I quickly learned is that if you can automate a process and you make it easier, you save a lot of time. And we looked around and we couldn't find something that will work for us. So luckily, I have an incredible back office and people in the office that loves these things. And we've developed the system ourselves, that we manage everything from our quotes, from everything we do, from our administration, our central database, and everything we manage on that system we've developed. And it's not something that you do once and it's done. It's something you work on continuously. It is something that you optimize and improve. Whenever we find something that we can do better, we will improve the system. And it's really worked for us. It's a process where I do my designs on. It is a process where we do, as I said, we do the quotes from and everything. And it's through that automation process that it has helped me to manage multiple quotations on a day and being able to do that and make sure it is professional, it is done properly. We have all the record keeping that is needed with that. I can tell you now, the 12 installations that I've done, where did I bought everything and where did I install it and everything around that. And who did I buy it from and what's the warranty issues around that and how many jobs I've done for that customer and things like that. But it's something we've developed ourselves.
Okay, so investing in a good software is an investment. Don't see it as a grudge purchase.
It's definitely an investment. Yes, absolutely.
It'll make your life easier.
If I could maybe add something that just quickly, I at the start thought, yeah, software, do I need it? Maybe I can put something together myself, but that's just for me because I didn't have the support network that Rudolph had or has, like a team behind the scenes, because I started as a single guy. So my major thing was, okay, accounting wise, I need to be compliant as well. So I need to be considerate of what SARS's expectations of this business entity, what kind of financials do I need to be able to compile. And those were the two first full-time appointments that I did as well. Well, not full-time, but retainer, basically. I'm outsourcing it, which is bookkeeping and accounting. And the other one is a subscription to a proper accounting platform that I know is everything is in order and I don't have to reinvent the wheel. And Tradeify links seamlessly with this platform as well.
So you heard it there from Junior Lagrange with with his Tradeify. So I need to try and get a couple of other questions in here that go a little bit beyond what you're using to stay organized. But there was an entire paradigm shift when load shedding ended. The customer that came to you desperate and for a solution and a grudge purchase, as Rudolph mentioned, we're not seeing that kind of customer. The new client is interested in cost saving. And did you catch on quite quickly what was going on, that the winds had changed? And how did you adjust to this new demand, that the cost-saving client as opposed to the one who needed load shedding assistance? Rudolph, do you want to start?
Yeah, it was. I saw it coming from a long time ago, and it initially was very difficult to make that change because it was so easy to sell in the load shedding era. I had to get my ducks in a row to talk to an educated customer. Our customers are a lot more educated than they used to be. And especially if you're in the commercial world, in the C&I world, our customers understand financials. So I need to be on the same level and par of them in terms of explaining the financials for them because they run businesses and they understand financials of businesses. So therefore, I can't just tell them or promise them something and not being able to show them exactly how I did the calculation and how I came to those figures, because they will keep me to that. It's not just, okay, no, I don't have load shedding anymore and therefore I'm happy. It is now, what return on investment do I get from my... So I had to prepare myself for that. So luckily I have a background in that world. So the studies did help in the past. And so yes, that made it a little bit easier, but it's still difficult to enter that world. And it's still difficult to get into that world where you can have opportunity to speak to the decision makers in a business to help them understand what is possible in their business.
But I think that the course, well, I know that the course is going to give them the arguments. It's going to help give installers the new arguments they need that appeal to this cost-saving conscious customer. It's going to teach them how to set it.
And I don't want to emphasize the word cost saving. It's an investment decision. So for me, it's not about saving anything. It's about doing a good investment. And for me, that is what I want to teach for customers, or what I want to teach for people, and what I want to share to my customers. This is a good investment.
And then, Junior, maybe to a last question for you to say, we've seen this boom of companies popping up everywhere, and then we've seen all these companies closing down again. So in your mind, what do you think was the problem? Why are they closing down? And is it important to register with industry bodies to ensure longevity for your business? What do you think about that question?
So there was a time where there was, we can call it the solar gold rush. And I think a lot of people had, like, they were starry-eyed and had, like the Afrikaans saying, "Maanskyn en rose." And like with most things, it was just not sustainable because it was a very unnatural growth curve in the industry, and it wasn't sustainable. And unfortunately, then if you look at it financially, people start to extend themselves financially. Cash flow becomes a problem. People start over leveraging debt and over leveraging resources in terms of vehicles, buildings, people. So resources and human or infrastructure. So the moment you over leverage either one of those, you're bound to get the wrong end of leveraging. And that's the thing with leveraging, is it's a catapult. So it's very good to use it, but you need to keep your wits about you.
And had they been registered with official bodies, would that have made a difference?
Yes. So I wish I had gone through the administrative task. To say it's a task is putting it lightly, because there's a lot of paperwork you can do. Specifically, if you consider going the full commercial and industrial route, many of these clients, who in most cases ends up being the bank, because they go for financing, or they have financial backing in capital, but they want to vet you. They want to make sure that you're a credible company with backup that can speak for itself. So then they start looking at stuff like BEE ratings, CIDB level ratings, CSD registrations. Then we're not even talking about the basic things like the ETA, the ECB, the normal registrations that we all have to do as electrical contractors with the Department of Labor, to get your contractor number, etc. Ultimately, I think registering with these bodies keeps us accountable, and it keeps us credible.
And Rudolph, you'd said to me that these bodies help you along in the process. Just briefly, if you want to close us off.
The bodies gives you legitimacy in terms of what you do. It tells you that you are willing to register with them, therefore you do it the correct way, and you're accountable, as Junior said, you're accountable for something, to someone, not just your client, but to the body as well. So they are important. It doesn't necessarily help you to get more business. It gives you legitimacy when a client needs to decide between two vendors. He can decide on which one is more credible than the other one. And that is part of the... Do they help you? Yes, they do give you some guidance. But a lot of that, you still need to figure it out yourselves. But it helps to be registered, shows you that you are serious about you're not just an opportunist. You're serious about working.
And you'll take people through all of that. So
yes.
There is, I have to, let me look through the questions first. I know someone is asking, what is the name of the software program? Junior, do you want to spell it out for them?
It's like being a tradie, like swinging tools. TRADIFY. Maybe is it possible to post a link somewhere at the time? I'll just post it on a local alumni.
You can post a link, or you can send it to me, and I'll send it when I send the follow-up emails to everyone.
Sure, yeah. So Connie, I'll send you a link, and then you can send it in a follow-up email. I think that's the easiest.
Thank you.
So yes,
As I
just
say, they're not the be all and end all. There are many
No.
other pieces of software with maybe better, cheaper, etc.
Yeah, the point today was to share the secrets of your success, or what we see as your success, because we speak to many, many installers all day long, and most of them are saying it's quiet, it's quiet. And I think perhaps they don't know how to sell to this new kind of customer. They don't know how to go back to people who bombarded them during the load shedding times and say, load shedding might be done, but solar is still the cheapest. You can generate your own power. Let's run the numbers. So we want them to come and join you, Rudolph. I know you're doing it, you're teaching it in Joburg. Come and join Rudolph. There's still plenty to unpack, and you can pick Rudolph's brain in real time. So please go and register for that 2-day solar business management course. And I want to hark back to what Junior said about networking. If you're a Green alumni, join the Green alumni groups on Telegram, on WhatsApp. So Connie will send you the links when she reaches out to you tomorrow, and you can leverage the power of this huge, stable network that we have built up for you. Yeah, so Connie will send you a follow-up email tomorrow with a link to this recording and some more information. And I'm sure our sales team will be reaching out to you soon too, just to get some more information from you. I really want to thank you both, Junior and Rudolph, for giving us your time today. I know that you're busy. I'm glad that you're busy. And I hope people have learned something from this session.
It is a pleasure.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll speak to you soon.
Alex,
yes.
Could I maybe share one last thing? It's literally a one-liner.
Yes.
I thought about this quite long and hard, and it's something that I've heard everywhere. Zig Ziglar said, you must inspect what you expect.
Inspect what you expect.
And I think it's very apt for our industry and where we find ourselves, whether it's in your day-to-day or whether it is in the industry as a whole, or where you see your company moving forward, yourself moving forward. You need to inspect if we're expecting something. So yeah.
Okay. I think I'm going to call you the king of the one-liners. I love it. I love the things you come up with. But thank you both so very much, and thanks for everyone who joined the session.
Sure thing.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.